right, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, it's morning. Not afternoon yet, not quite there. Good morning, everybody. My name is Kenny McBurney with Allied Home Inspection. That's going to take me a while. Most of you know, or if you don't know, we rebranded. We were formerly American Eagle Home Inspection. I made the joke yesterday. Really cool clothing company, slightly confusing name for a home inspection company. So happy to have a new brand, a little bit shorter, easier to say, and really embodies who we are, being your ally in the home buying process. So excited to be here, excited to host, excited. Thank you so much for our contributors, our sponsors, and our speakers today. I'll be honest, I feel like I struggled most with this topic than I usually do. I think we all are, right? We're all in the same position. We all live here. We're all local. It's a lot. So, you know, bear with me. I feel like we're gonna talk through this together. I'm so excited to get some industry leaders together to talk about the subject specifically. But we'll kind of just dive in. So to get through some of the housekeeping stuff, things like this wouldn't be possible without my awesome partners. Our lunch sponsor today, Atlantic Bay Mortgage, Cody and Rachel. Thank you so much for the delivery. Thank you to Brittany with Carolina Foundation Solutions. And then Ashley is here with Social Statement for all our media. And then I have some awesome contributors, Julia with WNC Real Estate Photography, and over here with College Hunts Moving. And Vesta Property Management also contributed today. So thank you to all of you guys. They're awesome businesses. I will say each of these individual businesses has been in the community and helping not only agents, but also just members of the general public. So thank you, everybody. You guys have been awesome. So first, a little bit about us. Oh, it says American Eagle Home Inspection, you guys. Cody found one the other day. If you change your name, I promise we're better at home inspections than I am at rebranding. We are Allied Home Inspection. So okay, so we're gonna do my usual shtick, but it'll be a little different. So if you guys can get out your phones, we're gonna go to Instagram preferably. Find our new profile, which if you're already following us, you should still be following. So it's Allied Home Inspector. If you don't follow us already, please give us a follow. And if you do follow us, find a random post and give it a like. What this is going to do is going to put you in our news feed for a little giveaway. So I'll give everybody a few seconds to do that. And let's see. That's 5 hours. Leanne, you were the first person in my field of vision. Where did you go? You moved. Stanley, for you. And I'm trapped by a labyrinth of electrical cords, but I'll leave her right here. Thanks for giving us a follow. So the reason I do that, and I've said this in the past, there's nothing I can say in the next 2 minutes that's going to convince you guys to use us as your favorite home inspector over somebody else. So I like you guys to get to know us over social media. We post twice a day, every day, usually something about our team, and then something we find in the field. So highly educational. What did we post today? I forget. Yesterday was a cabinet. Thrilling stuff. We post cats, fish video. Our fish video is our current high top performer, and our 12 million views of a thermostat. So you never know what you can get. But appreciate you guys. A couple updates other than the rebrand. Another exciting announcement. We do septic in-house now. Very exciting. We love a lot of our septic vendors, but we are doing it in-house. And bonus, it is an all-female septic inspection team. So if nothing else, Lindsay and Winnie will come dig up your septic tank. It's incredible. So they're awesome. So please know that we can be, as responsive as we need to be because we can handle that in-house. So that's enough of me. So a quick shout out to, again, I've mentioned Ashley Scholes with Social Statement. So she is based in the area. She does social media management. Please feel free to grab a QR code. I think this is very timely. And I picked my vendors for a reason. Who saw the day after, internet was down, the days following the storm when people had auto posts? And they're like, come to my open house. I was like, I don't think that's happening. I think social media management is really critical at this time if you utilize that medium. I personally took a 2-week break. I have not posted on social media for the last 1.5 years. But it just felt like, I'm getting chills, like it felt like a time where it was insensitive. So if you really feel like you need some guidance in your social media strategy, hit up Ashley. She's fantastic. So next up, I do want to allow our venue sponsor to say a couple words. So I'm going to welcome up Brittany with Carolina Foundation Solutions. And I will give a personal plug. As a home inspector, we find a lot of foundation issues. She's absolutely my go-to. She's incredibly responsive. So I'll let her tell you more about what they do. Watch out for all the boards.
I don't know about that. Trying to get us here. Perfect. name is Brittany. I'm with Carolina Foundation Solutions. I will keep it brief, but there's a lot of information on your tables that you can take with you. So any sort of foundation repairs, settlement issues, crawl space issues, if there's moisture, standing water in a crawl space or basement, we can help you guys with all that. We work very closely with local engineers. We're not one of those companies that has an engineer on staff. We work with local engineers in the area. If you have structural engineers that you work with, great. If you need recommendations, let me know. Kimmy can tell you more than anybody. If you see something in the field and you're not really sure, send me a text, shoot me a picture. I'm happy to look at it. You can send it any time of any day. I will get back to you as quickly as possible. But please take my card. Text me anytime if you have questions. You can send me inspection reports. You can send me engineering reports. It's all free just for me to take a look at it. We do free consultations. We just want to help. There's a lot of this in the community now. There was before, and there definitely is after. So we definitely want to be able to help you guys if we can. So I'll be here after if you have any questions. Please take all the goodies, all the stuff on your tables, and text me if I can help you.
Thank you. Round of applause for crawl space. Foundation. So she does not only crawl space, but basement, foundation walls, retaining walls, all that stuff we all see all the time and have no idea what we're dealing with. So they're awesome. So get her number so you can shoot her a text. And up next, the next exciting, thrilling topic to talk about, money. We all love money. So I want to welcome up Cody and Rachel. I have actually not heard this yet, and I'm really excited to hear about this program. They're talking about the FHA disaster relief loan. So without further ado, I need to switch your presentation. Cody and Rachel. You're welcome.
We're going to take a little bit longer, but this is really important information. And we've tried to, thank you, shorten this up just a little bit from where we did our Zoom. How long ago? 2 weeks ago. For those of you who don't know, my name is Cody. I've been with Atlantic Bay for right at 7 years in the beginning of the year. Been doing this for not as long as Rachel. She's older than I am, but okay, there's like a 2 month period.
Yeah.
Since 2012, and yeah, just happy to see each of you safe in here and able to be here with us.
Hey guys, I'm Rachel. I think I know most of you. I am older than Cody, but also wiser. I've been in this business for about 13 years now. You guys have probably heard about this loan program. If you have not, it's an amazing way to help your community members. We have several of these going right now. So think people who are renting homes, those homes have been damaged, they're in an apartment, they've been displaced. This is an amazing program that can help them, and we're going to get into the details of it here. So it's sponsored by FHA. They are using funds in conjunction with FEMA and other grant programs to offer 100% financing to people who either own a home or have rented a home that has been damaged by either Hurricane Helene or any other natural disaster. This is for presidentially declared disasters, and it's available for 1 year after the storm. So 0 down payment in most cases if you're purchasing a new home. One of the really great things about FHA is there are no income or area restrictions. So usually when you're taking down payment assistance, there are income caps, area median incomes, both with North Carolina Housing and other programs. You can make $1 million and qualify for this as long as you fit into their parameters for credit score and their debt to income ratio requirements. Very flexible credit requirements, which we'll get into in the next slide. This program is designed for people who have been financially impacted. So there's a lot of flexibility there. 30 and 15-year terms are available on this, and you do not have to purchase the new home in an impacted area. So you can take these funds and move anywhere. I mean, we hope you're going to stay here, help us rebuild our amazing community, but if you feel the need to go elsewhere, you can use it anywhere in the United States.
You do have to have lived in the impacted area, and the home or apartment does have to be uninhabitable or damaged for us to be able to utilize this. Now, we are specifically talking about this for our impacted area, but keep in mind that this has always been an option for maybe you have some Florida clients moving up to North Carolina after a hurricane hits them, or Texas, or wherever, no matter what the actual FEMA declared disaster is, they're going to be eligible for this program as well. It is within a year period after disaster. So if we use Helene, then September of 2025 is when they need to have gone under contract to be able to move forward with taking advantage of this program. It can be for a purchase of primary and refinance of a primary residence only. Now, we would love to still help out with second homes and investment properties, but this is just a program to get roofs over heads as easily as possible. And the projected loan limit for FHA is going to be $528,850 in 2025. So if we're doing 100% financing, then that's a purchase price of $528 in that case. That is up just a little bit from the $498 that it is in 2024. So
how does this differ from FHA? FHA is already one of the most flexible loan programs out there available. We can push debt to income ratios pretty high. They're usually pretty forgiving with credit scores. Usually if you have a 600 or less credit score, we're going to need to get compensating factors to be able to approve you for FHA, like showing positive rental history for the last 12 months, utility bills, things like that to offset the dings on the credit report. With this program, we can go down to a 580 with no compensating factors whatsoever. So it's taking into consideration that these people have probably missed payments because they've had a loss of income. We can also overlook mortgage late on the credit report. So prior to the disaster, they can have had up to 3 late mortgage payments as long as their credit score has sustained a 580. Again, we're trying to be forgiving and get people into homes here. After it is unlimited, many of you remember COVID, everybody went into forbearance, right? And then when they went to purchase a new home, it created issues with the new loan application with lenders because they wanted to see that you were going to go into your new mortgage making payments. We completely overlooked forbearance and mortgage rates as long, again, as you kept that 580 credit score. We do need to document the proof of loss, the damage. Unfortunately, we can't just take the client's word, if their home was damaged. So I was actually texting Kimmy about this a few days ago. We either have a contractor come in and document with photos the damage to the property, or use the insurance documentation to show that the house is uninhabitable.
With FHA, they can be a little bit of a pain when it comes to what documentation is needed. With this, there is flexibility on if we are not able to get the W-2s, the pay stubs, the bank statements. We can request IRS transcripts in place of W-2s, what's called a written verification of employment from the employer in place of the pay stubs, and then a verification of deposit in place of bank statements. Now, we're going to try to get as much of these as we possibly can, but there are flexibility. It's going to be the word of the day when it comes to this particular program. Same for income. If they had a job gap because they couldn't make it to their place of employment, their place of employment is no longer there. This allows for us to use short-term, as long as it's full-time income, in place of what they might have had previously. Did you?
Yeah, I've got a really good example of this one. We just closed. My client was a dental hygienist. Her dental office was in Biltmore Village. They're closed down indefinitely. There's no access to water. We completely overlooked that because we know that she's going to eventually go back to work. Lucky for her, she was able to find some temporary work in Florida. Normally that would disrupt a loan application. It did not in any case with this. We were able to go ahead and close with no additional documentation. So this is just some quick FAQs and we'll wrap this up. Can this loan be used for repairs? Absolutely. So if someone owns a home that has been damaged by the storm, we can use the 203H in conjunction with the FHA 203K program to repair the damage from the storm. And also if they want to do some cosmetic upfitting, we can do that as well if they had already been thinking about that. We do need to make sure though, especially if we're taking out their current mortgage, that the cost for the repairs plus any debt that they had on it before does not exceed 96.5% of the total value after repair. So that brings up the conversation. You may have someone who had a mortgage on a property that was a total loss. And we may need to have delicate conversations with people about their options around foreclosure. So if you do know someone who has had damage, please direct them to a loan officer. We can get them in a new house really, really quick. But foreclosure is not going to impact the new mortgage and they can let the past go. And I don't mean to be insensitive there, but it's just something that's a reality. Again, Cody mentioned this cannot be used for investment or second home. It's for primary residences only.
You're gonna hate this next question, but should the sellers accept an FHA loan? Absolutely. Especially with this program, again, buyers are just trying to get a roof over their head. And even with a standard FHA loan, it may be that, yeah, the buyer gets a better payment, a better interest rate. It's what they are able to qualify for. They get a higher purchase price. There's a bad reputation with FHA because, oh, it has peeling paint. What are we gonna do? Give us the color. We'll go out and scrape it ourselves.
We've done it before.
So we can get this done. Do not just put it in the bottom of the stack just because you've had a bad experience with another lender on how FHA was handled. That is part of why we love what we do, because we are getting people in houses, and especially with this particular loan program. Jumping off soapbox. Does the new home need to be in the disaster area? We talked about this a little bit before too. They can go anywhere they want to, as long as the previous home was in the disaster area and uninhabitable. And then what type of properties can be purchased? Same with standard FHA. It can be a single family detached. It can be a double wide FHA approved condos, or what am I missing?
Townhomes.
Yep.
And just take a quick snapshot of this. If your client is purchasing a new property via FHA, these are the HUD minimum property standards. So this is going to apply with VA, FHA, and USDA. So as you're showing houses, just something to keep your eye out for. There's a rhyme and reason to this. They're not just trying to be overly strict. Usually when someone's financing 96.5% or 100% of the purchase price, they're not going to have a lot of leftover funds to do things like this to the house. So if we can address this sooner rather than later, and we need to schedule a time, like Cody said, to go out and paint the attic or whatever, then we'll do it. But just a good thing for you all to have in mind. And I think lastly is just our contact information. If
You don't have any questions about any of this?
Yeah, I have a question. So this is obviously fairly specific because the home has to be uninhabitable. Are you seeing a lot of FHA 203Ks for repairs right now?
Not yet, but I think that that's definitely coming.
Yeah, I feel like people are waiting for insurance
Yeah.
opinions first and then going. And then second, like, what's your opinion on forbearance versus refinancing to potentially buy yourself some time?
I mean, I think that some companies are going to look at forbearance differently. Some of them will allow you to miss 3 payments, but they want 4 all at one time at the end of that 3rd month, and that helps no one. So if you time a refinance right, as long as there's a benefit there, if you close usually in the beginning of the month, we can actually go ahead and skip 2 payments. And then if you're getting the benefit, not right this second because rates are up, but hopefully, within a couple of weeks at a lower rate, the refi may make a lot more sense than the forbearance.
Yes.
My question is, you mentioned the houses under 528. Do you have an option for people who are in 750?
Talk to us and we'll work on getting the credit where it needs to be.
Yeah.
We've got a very awesome credit program that we can, got multiple people in that right now, just helping them improve their credit with us.
The purchase
I
price.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
580 credit.
There's not going to be the forgiveness for, job loss, income loss, things on the credit, because we would have to go conventional at that point. But we could have the discussion, first and second is also an option in some cases. We just need to look at the picture as a whole because,
And was that loan amount or purchase price?
Loan amount for FHA, but in this case, purchase price is going to be 100% financing. Yeah, it was really nice to see that they've jumped up that high.
Here's our contact information, left our cards on the table. We are always open for calls, texts, emails. And if anything comes up after this, you've got a client that could take advantage of this.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
I know this is a common theme, and I always shout it out to my vendors if I can, but they are 2 of the most responsive people I've ever met, and I know that's huge in real estate. So shout out to Cody and Rachel. They are awesome at what they do. I do not want to replay it. I'm going to go to my slideshow. Okay, so picture's fun. You'll have to believe me. How many of you attended our webinar a week and a half ago? A handful. Okay. I would encourage you all to scan this QR code now. If you don't use Zach Ruiz and the Ruiz Report as a resource in your business, you are missing out. So this is still just his part 1 of 3 article that he shared about the real data, right? Because I feel like we're getting bogged down in even the media, right? It's a disaster, it's horrible, it's terrible, which while it is, but are we doing ourselves a disservice by portraying this to our clients? So he did a really in-depth look at the market so far. He is going to be issuing part 2 probably sometime this week, now that October is closed. So I wanted to reshare that. Oh my gosh. This is our webinar. So if you can scan this QR code, he speaks on this report. He dictates the whole thing and explains it from a minute to 12 minutes. So if you guys haven't watched it, it's also in a link in our social media bio if this doesn't work. So highly recommend you guys to go back and look at those resources. Really helpful. Oh my God, it's gonna do with all this stuff. Anyone know how to fix this? I can see it on my screen.
That's the same thing.
Yeah. You guys can see this.
Refresh it.
All right, refresh, okay. Canva charges us more for professional now, and they're not gonna give me my stuff. All right, let's go back and see.
I thought they
All
were
right.
still an EXP agent, right?
Yes, yes.
So Canada,
It's
Canada's
free,
on
that's
our
true,
deal for
true.
December.
True story. Okay, well, let's go back. So this is the Marie's report again, but you guys already got that one. Saying this is the webinar a couple of us did. So if you want to go back and watch that, but specifically Zach Ruiz's summary of his report, I'm not going to attempt to butcher it. Also, Jeff Stewart with Keller Williams shared some of these. I've seen this a lot, and this is kind of where I drew a lot of inspiration for getting us together today, was trying to draw on previous experience. They basically pulled statistics from Baton Rouge, so Katrina area, Katrina and Baton Rouge, and then Hurricane Harvey, which was in Houston. So I'm going to steal Chuck's thunder just slightly, because they shared something, Chuck Johnson with the Johnson Property Group, something similar, and I kind of zoomed in, but, and I'll have Chuck speak to this when he comes up. But basically, the Baton Rouge floods, 30% of homes were damaged, 80 to 90% were uninsured, and there was about a 2.5% population loss, and that's based on school enrollments. So obviously it's not, you know, too extensive, because obviously some people maybe don't have kids, but I think it's pretty indicative of the population. Harvey, 15 to 20% homes damaged, about 80% uninsured, 1% population loss. Katrina had about 80% homes damaged, 80. You guys, I can't win today. Let me get us reattached. I would like to blame this on the hurricane, but I don't think I can. I did finally get internet back today. Does everyone else have utilities? Like, that was a struggle, especially in my business. That was a challenge.
Today?
Yesterday, the lines were damaged, because it just took a long time, yeah. And we have Starlink, so we weren't as distant. Y'all, I can't win. Annie, would you do me a favor and go grab Brian? He's in the first office.
Yeah.
Just start yelling for Brian. He'll come for you. Okay, for now, we're just gonna have to go old school. So he's like, I'm waiting for you. At least Zoom's still there. Okay, so 80% of homes damaged in Katrina, 80 to 90% uninsured, and nearly 50% population loss. So I definitely think that's a bit of an outlier. And I feel like the only thing about this data that we're still missing is really the percentage of homes that were damaged. I mean, I know we know about FEMA claims and whatnot, but it's still yet to be realized. But the next one I wanted to share with you guys, I can't. Great. Sorry. You're fine. So I went. Says the site can't be reached. Do I need to clean it up?
Are we still on your website?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't want.
Oh. It was on there before.
Eventually.
While she's doing that, one other thing I forgot to mention. So pretty quickly after the storm, I don't know if you guys saw our social media, but we rolled out some emergency services. So we do property condition assessments, which some people can utilize for insurance or just documentation if they need it, or kind of an assessment. We had this for a lot of people who don't live here, who have second homes that wanted just a set of eyes and a professional set of eyes at that. One story that it's unfortunate to share, but the client who had done an inspection for a while ago bought an investment property. And they had somebody go out the next few days. And that person was like, it's fine. You have some trees down and one of your walkways was kind of eroded, but you're fine. So he said, okay, Kimmy, when you guys get to it, like, can you just give us a water test so we know when we can send people back? So we went there to get a water sample. The building had been red tagged by the city for foundation issues. And I think, to be honest, I think this happened even after the storm. I think the erosion and the trees are still coming down. So unfortunately, this client in particular really benefited from a professional assessment of, the retaining wall and whatnot. So know that issues can keep happening. Also, I had somebody who didn't think they had water issues, but then after the building was unconditioned for almost 2 weeks, right? People were without power and your air conditioning is not running. Problems are still happening. So please offer us to clients. We are also doing water testing, well inspections, septic inspections. And we also got with Buncombe County and we have their water test kits. So their water test fee would actually be free. You would just have to pay for our time. So reduced costs for water testing as well. So there's my commercial. So I stole these from Asheville Realty Group. Anyone here from Asheville Realty Group? Shout out. Great graphics. They just put these out a couple days ago, but it speaks to something that Johnson Property Group also shared. They are basically analyzing market data. So this shows the 2 weeks prior to the storm, the week of the storm, and post-storm. So as you guys can see, new listings are above, those last 2 weeks. Under contract is near similar, and closed properties were within a few transactions of where we would be. And I really think this is in advance of when people thought the market would rebound. In speaking with all the professionals who are going to come up and talk today, everyone definitely expects a rebound, if not an improvement. But this is definitely, I think, record time for what we could have anticipated. So great news. But I do want to welcome up these professionals because I am no expert on the matter. And something that's really a common denominator with all these, I spoke to a lot of brokerage owners, but while I'm so excited to hear from these in particular, most of them are from national brokerages or national kind of franchise brokerages. And I feel like they've really had the privilege of people in their brokerage that aren't here working remotely for us. Like, hey, you guys are in it, you don't even have internet right now. I'm sure there are people at Keller Williams gathering this data to help assist them in moving forward. So I'm really excited to hear all their opinion. So first, I want to welcome up Dave Noyes. He's the broker in charge for the Western North Carolina. Dave has lived in this area for a long time, been a real estate agent for quite some time. So thank you, Dave, for joining us. Happy to have, and sorry for my booby trap here.
It's okay. I'll walk around it.
Once you're sitting down, you'll be fine.
Yeah,
And then next, Chuck Johnson of the Johnson Property Group. Please join us again. I'm actually also excited to hear from Chuck. He was a longtime appraiser, so I feel like that's a really important piece of the puzzle. A lot of us have questions about how properties are going to appraise and how we're supposed to advise our clients on the value of properties. So happy to have Chuck here. And lastly, Ms. lovely Monica Rousseau from Realty One Group Pivot. I generally have a rule that I try not to bring panelists back more than once because I want to be inclusive.
We're all lined
This
up.
is Monica's third time with us because she is just such a gem and such a giver. So excited to have her opinion. So welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us. So, okay. So here's my challenge. So usually when I talk about a topic, I can talk about the evolution of whatever we're talking about. Lead gen. Okay, lead gen 101, where do we even start? I really struggled with opening this and I talked to Monica about it and I was like, I don't even know where to start. So I kind of want to open it up with this. It was like, what was your guys' initial thoughts when, okay, everyone's got some cell service back. What was your initial broadcast to your agents and what was it? Like, where do we even start? We're all kind of just in stunned mode. What does that look like, Dave?
Well, I think it was, well, of course, reaching out was difficult because you couldn't get a hold of anybody. And maybe I had cell phone, but the person on the other end of the line didn't. But I was really proud to see a lot of, I was going to say my brokers, but all the brokers in the area just take the initiative and kind of shift their focus from real estate to relief worker. And once I kind of tracked what people were doing, that's when I realized I could reach out to these folks and see if I could help, help them move along even a little faster.
Yeah.
Whether it was, we had brokers, and this happened all over the place, associations and individual brokers sending stuff up the mountain via airplane. And because the roads were closed, we had brokers taking stuff off the airplane and delivering it to neighborhoods that were affected by the storm. I mean, how awesome is that? And I think one thing I'm probably going to mention a lot of, and I don't want to steal anybody's thunder here, but it's humanity. I think, you know, in COVID, we're all forced to stay away from each other in that disaster, right? Because COVID really was a disaster. And here we are in a different disaster, and all we want to do is get together, and we have this attraction where it's like we want to get right next to these folks, shoulder to shoulder, and help them out.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was very proud to see that amongst the entire real estate community. And some people, maybe they weren't involved. There's a lot of folks where it was like, you know, just like on an airplane, you got to put on your own mask before you put on somebody else's.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I was kind of in that mode. It's like, I got to make sure my family's okay. And I have no cell phone service. I've got nothing. And, but then I started getting out in the neighborhood. You start helping like the person next door. And then maybe you could move your scope out a little bit by little bit by little bit. So anyway, I guess to answer your question, seeing people stay involved, because we're helpers, shift from real estate to relief. I think that was really what happened immediately after the storm.
Yeah. And Chuck, what about you? I mean, I know I've been following you guys diligently. You've been very involved, but what did those first days and first kind of communications to your team look like?
Yeah, it's interesting. Exactly what he said. I've never, ever listened once to put your mask on first.
Yeah.
And then the first day, I'm like, okay, I have to make sure my family survives. Like, it's this serious, and the power is going to be out a long time. So it was like apocalypse, like literally gas cans. We filled her car and sent her with my 5 grandkids, my son, my daughter, all to Hilton Head to one of our condos. And the second Sunday night is when she went. She texted me and said, "We're stopping in Bluffton to eat dinner." I'm like,
Yeah.
I can survive on nothing. Well, we immediately went to, okay, we got to help people. So first day it was 1 car. Second day it was 3 cars. Then all of a sudden, Keller Williams agents, like he's saying, I'm sure EXP did the same, from all over America. I think we ended up 7 planes, 3 or 4 18-wheelers. Like there's a whole distribution center in Mills River. So ours just kept shifting from first days we're delivering. 5 days in, it was all of a sudden, now we're supplying churches and community centers. Then it's like, okay, we got to make sure our people are all right. See, we're a little different. I don't know how big your brokerage is, but there's a lot of people under his umbrella. Ours is 10 agents plus our executive team. So we were much more kind of in alignment. In a brokerage, man, everybody's fending for themselves. It's much harder. For us, it was more in alignment. So I was talking to him every day, and there was a lot of crying.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff we saw, and there was a lot of crying on my part. Like I cried a lot.
I might cry today.
Yeah.
If we get down the right rabbit hole, I don't know.
Safe space.
Yeah.
Well, I had a coaching call with my business coach today. I told him, I said, I'm finally stopped crying. Like, holy smokes, why do I cry so much? But so ours was more, it's cool. Like, how are they? How are they? How is everybody? How is everybody? And then, okay, guys, now we filled all these distribution centers, and they're all saying, we're full. We don't need anything.
Yeah.
Great. We'll keep stockpiling in Mills River. So when they do need it, now we can sell real estate. And we had some guilt where, you know, like, and I'm like, listen, now that we've helped our community in a huge, huge way, like you'll never know the impact that realtors made in this area.
Secret agents.
Like
Absolutely.
unbelievable
Absolutely.
what this group of people did. And so now what about your family? Like you're obligated to them. Like you can't feel guilty that now you're going back to serve them. You can't do that. And so with us now we're full on. We still have a distribution center and we still have stuff, but they're full on. Like we've gotten I think 15 contracts under contract since 2 weeks ago. So they're back to, okay, let's focus on real estate, which is so exciting to see that we were able to help and they were able to pivot back.
Right.
Can I ask real quick, who signed something new in the last couple of weeks? New listing, new buyer, new offers? Yeah. Look around.
It's out there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
out there.
And this
That's
is such
cool.
a small representation of all the agents. Yeah, sorry, Chuck, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's it. And just this is the easiest time in the history of time to lead generate. There's no easier time in history. Hey, how are you? Did you get affected by the storm? Do you need anything? We have a whole distribution center. Do you need workers? I just got a text with workers from Virginia. It's like, just help your community. And then they'll send you business.
Yeah,
So to me, just keep serving people, business comes.
yeah, I love it. Monica, what about you? What do those first couple days look like?
I think exactly the same. I
Mhm.
mean, the first day I was like, what the hell is going on? I mean, that's
Yeah.
literally what we were doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because like 2 days before the storm, I said, why do I have these 5 brooms in my house? Who needs 5 brooms in their house? Well, the funny thing is that at 8 o'clock Friday morning, my lower level of my house started flooding. And it was me and 4 of the 4 kids there. And so
Be careful what
we
you
made
wish
a
for.
line and I was like, get in line. And for 3 hours, like putting your mask on, like I couldn't think about anything except getting this water out of my house.
That's right.
And that's what we did for 3 straight hours, was sweep and get the water out. And my 13-year-old, if y'all have ever met her, she's something else. She was like, can we please have a lunch break? And I said, absolutely not.
Like, we're gonna unionize.
Yeah, I mean, that's where she was at, because, their kids, none of this impact is, and it's probably still not really hit them, or us. But that was it, that first day. And then Saturday, I had someone, like we're talking about our national folks pulling together. I had someone drive in that I didn't even think they could get in, and they brought me a Starlink. And I didn't even, in that time, it's like, I had no idea I even needed
Yeah,
that,
no,
right?
nobody needed one.
You had
incredible.
no idea, like, what's that and some water. And he drove up, it was super early Saturday, and he said, you're gonna need this. And I was like, God, putting it in my lap.
Yeah.
And I took it to the house. I had my generator hooked up, and that's when because obviously no service, I started checking on my people. It took me 7 days to get in touch with everybody. And that was gut wrenching and very difficult, but just trying to and texting, and they wouldn't text back and text. I know y'all had the same thing, just trying to get in touch with them and make sure that they were okay. And then immediately I had people, because I didn't even know how bad it was. None of us knew. And I had
None of
people-
us here knew how bad it was.
No,
unless
and
we were
I
in
had people like messaging me, like,
Yeah.
when I put the Starlink on, saying, oh my gosh, are y'all alive? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then they were like, oh my gosh. And then like the president of, Realty One Group's calling me, and like, we're sending you this, we're doing this. And I'm like, I still didn't know exactly what had gone on in all of these other places. Cause our house flooded, but we're so blessed. I mean,
Unbelievable.
so grateful. And, we just took it from there. And then by Sunday, I had our first truckload of stuff delivered, and I became an assistant FEMA director, and that's what I said. And it came on, and people from all over the country, I know, they ship stuff in. I mean, I have pictures of mounds of packages at my house to distribute. And then I just began getting lists of people, and people kept contacting me and said, hey, can you help me? Hey, can you help this family? So it became very specific, just like you guys. And then we did the same thing. We stocked up. I mean, both offices turned into distribution centers. And then I said, okay, you guys have to reach out to everybody in your sphere. And they were like, I feel guilty. And I said, you can't. I said, we have to do our work. We have to begin creating and driving income and continuing doing the things, because that is what will lead us to recovery. I heard some people saying, oh my God, you're going to eat out on Monday after the storm, because, on Main Street in Hendersonville, everything was, that one street, they had power and water. And I said, absolutely, I am, because we have to support these places that have, that can generate income so that they can put it back into the economy so that we can start selling houses again, And I agree with you. It's the best time in history to lead generate. That's what I've been talking to my partners in New Orleans and Baton Rouge and, Miami and, Charleston. They're saying, you need to get your feet on the ground and just start talking to people and checking with people and come at it. I mean, I don't think any of us have said, oh my gosh, we've got to have our 100 closings.
No,
We
no.
haven't even thought about it.
Yeah.
All we've done is think about how can we help our neighbors? How can we help these people that are in such distress?
Yeah, we were at the warehouse almost 3 weeks, so
Yeah,
we were out a long time.
Yeah.
Like, we have to get back to work.
Yes.
Like, you guys have to
Yes.
pay bills.
that's what I said. That's exactly what I said. I was like, we've got to take care of our families now that we've done what we could do. We're not engineers. We can't get out there and do the things that the Army Corps of Engineers and, everybody that's come in, but we've done what we could. We used our network and we brought things in, and that's an amazing value. Like you said,
Oh.
we're never going to know the impact that we've had
I
on
had,
people just by getting
Just
to
the
work.
national part that you said, like, I'm sure he is and his and she is in Keller Williams, like, I know people all through America, and it really helped our area.
Oh,
Yes.
yes, it
Yes.
absolutely
Like,
did.
our influence
Mhm.
helped our area.
Yeah.
I'm active with the state association. I'm on the executive board of that for just a couple of short months left. But anyway,
You don't have enough to do.
yeah. But what was cool about that was being able to take the story, and Nick Hinton, who's president of Lotsar, was able to take the story to Wilmington this couple of weeks ago for the state convention. And having representatives there telling the story made for a unanimous vote to waive our realtor dues at the state level.
We all,
So-
That's awesome.
So, people from the state around, our fellow realtors around the state really care. And then, but one thing that was brought up is what an opportunity to build a brand around something different than we know in a back office, like you mentioned, 100 closings, right? We know what we have to do to sustain business. But as an individual realtor, to be able to go out and ask genuinely, how you doing?
Yeah.
That I think right now carries so much more weight than you want to know what your house is worth.
Mm-hmm.
So let's kind of dig into that, because that's the next question. And Monica, I'll start with you. So it's 3 weeks past, 3 weeks past, kind of like you said, everyone is safe. Obviously, we're gonna be sensitive. Like we're assuming everyone's physical needs are met, everyone's safe. That first agent starts to come to you and is like, I'm not doing well, financially, like I've got to see some stuff, I've got to see some traction. Like, what did that conversation look like for you?
It was great because, because of, like you said, because of our influence and the people we know, I had people directly donate for my agents, and I was able to pay a couple of people's rent, mortgage, utilities, things like that, give them walking around money, as my mom used to say, and just be able, because, they have 3 closings next week and they were depending on that, you know how it is, right? We live the same life, right? And so that was amazing. But it was also, we've got to get back, I had so many conversations, I know y'all did too, with people saying, oh my gosh, my deals are dead. And I was like, no, they're not. Wait a second, give it a moment. Let's talk to them in 2 more days. Let's come back together. This buyer, I'm freaking out. I don't want to move. I don't want to buy this house. Give them a chance to digest what's happened and then go back. And we were able to, save some transactions. I know you guys saw the same thing, but getting that back, getting those things, going back again was really what I think started giving people hope about, okay, my career's not over because of this disaster.
Yeah. So Chuck, same question to you. And I know you guys have a team that does a lot of, for lack of a better term, cold calling and outreach and stuff. So how did your direction to your team? So not only receiving business, it was automatically coming to you, but what about, outreach and scripting and kind of stuff like that, the message you were sending?
Yeah, so ours is, it's our whole business. We've built a whole business on service. It's just, ours is, I'm so far on the service side that I have a poster that I created that's my dad holding my grandson, and it's in several of the offices, and it says, "How would you want your dad treated?" It's not allowed to talk commission. It's all these things that are mental things to keep our agents focused. Like I'm not a whole brokerage. We can control who's on our team.
Mhm.
And if you are about money, you're gone. Like
Mhm.
that's it. You're gone. So what happens though is service leads to a lot of money, a lot of deals, right? It's the
Mhm.
coolest thing, but you're always about the service.
Mhm.
And so I'm a mindset guy. So my thing is, okay, let me get this data from Keller Williams.
Mhm.
Let me see what actually happened in those other areas. So I called the economist for Keller Williams, and he gave me the data that you showed. And like, wait, so even the bad areas were like Baton Rouge was 3 months,
Mhm.
Houston was 4 months. And so I've been doing that weekly market report for 2.5 years now. Well, we just keep doing the weekly market report. And I just want to say this real quick, which is really cool. Anybody this week last year, 91, this is just Buncombe and Henderson, 91 went pending.
Yeah.
How many of you guys think went pending? We do it every Wednesday. What do you think our number was today, the last 7 days? In Buncombe and Henderson, and it's just residential, not land, 90.
I was gonna say, I know the answer, so I'm not.
Dead even
Yeah.
with last year. One off.
Fortunately, Henderson County carries it, right?
Well, actually,
But it
right
was
now,
down a little bit more in Buncombe.
Buncombe is carrying it on our
Is it?
stuff on that, just barely.
Wow.
But the reason we do that is one, to help our clients make decisions, but it's just as important for like, oh gosh, what am I going to do? Well, how's the market? Oh, you just need one.
That's
Just go
right.
get one.
Yeah.
Just go get one of those 90.
That's what I say too. You just need one.
Just go get
Just
one of
get
the
one.
90,
That's
right?
it.
Yeah.
And you do that by helping people. Like I said in the pre thing, everything I talk about is what problems are you solving,
Mhm.
right? What are they doing? They're
Mhm.
solving problems.
Right.
They're creating a system that helps you with the problem. And so if we can do that as realtors, we'll close all the deals we need.
Yeah,
So
and speak specifically to your team, because I think it's such a strong example of what you practice, what you preach. You guys literally took off like 3 weeks. I mean, they were in the thick of it, and you said you're probably set to have one of your busiest months in November.
Yeah.
And it's probably a direct result of that service, right?
yeah, and I mean,
I mean, not
if there's
direct,
anybody that's doesn't believe in God in here, I'm sorry, but we had, when the storm hit, we had 62 under contract.
Mhm.
Guess how many we lost? One.
Oh,
We had 40 something listings. We lost one.
wow.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
How's that even possible
Yeah.
with all the damage, right? And I believe because our hearts are always right on just making it about other people.
Mhm.
We're blessed. I really believe that. It's not, I mean, we do a lot of things right, and I also think that we're blessed. And I told my team this. You're going to see your blessings come out of this. Like you worked and you took off and you served your community. Like I feel like us as a group as realtors, there was this gaping hole because the churches had not got up yet. The fire departments, and we filled this gaping hole because we were door to door, a lot of us at first.
Mhm.
Yep.
And I believe that if you do that, you're just blessed. So I know that's not the best answer of like, well, tell us exactly how you know, but that's what I believe.
Yeah, I mean, proof is in the pudding. So Dave, same question to you, and I think you have a bit of a unique perspective because Monica's got about 50 agents between locally, and you said Chuck as well, 10 agents locally, hyper local, where Dave, you're managing what? All of
300.
Western North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how
Yeah.
did your conversation change to not only agents who were impacted, but those who were like on the outskirts or weren't impacted, like tough conversation all around?
That's a tough one to answer too, but it's kind of funny because every Thursday I have a call. It's at EXP we have a virtual world, and you can go into the virtual world. You have your own avatar and everything. But on Thursdays we do a Zoom meeting, or it's a Google Meets meeting where we're actually on cam with each other, and we can see each other. And if some people choose not to participate on camera, I shame them.
I would too.
Yeah, because they.
Oh, I
you
make
need-
them.
you
Oh, I
need to
make
show
them.
up.
Like, get off the meeting or cut your camera.
Corinne, do I
on.
shame you for not being on cam sometimes? Yeah.
I know
So,
you're in pajamas, but turn it on.
yeah, just turn
We
it
don't
on.
care.
We don't care.
Yeah.
pull your hair back, put on a ball. Okay, so to get to the question though, it was interesting to kind of hear the feedback and of the agents. And so I go from Boone to Murphy. And Boone was ravaged, Elk Mountain, all those places up there were ravaged. And kind of talking, this is beside the point, but kind of talking to agents and seeing what was affected, you could almost track the path of the storm.
Yeah.
And, it's like I lost, I lost my house in Fairview. Okay, there's that. We're out. You don't have any power in Asheville. Okay, there's that. And then, but like Waynesville and places in that direction, they got the storm, but it wasn't horrible
Right.
like what we had here. So anyway, all that being said, we're all on the call together. I have one agent who's saying, man, and she's in Yancey County, another disaster. And it's horrible. I don't know what I'm going to do, blah, 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 blah. So we asked her, well, so what's your situation right now? Well, I've got 3 pending. I'm just waiting to hit the road. I'm going to close these out and get in my RV and go for a while. I'm like, okay, that's not so bad.
Yeah.
And then, and other folks have had, that's why I asked the question, okay, who's put something under contract lately? Because I didn't want to offend anybody. We have agents still putting stuff under contract. And the message changed from, I gave a let's be human speech, have the conversations, have the forward conversations. How's your family? How's the job going? Are you able to get out and hike or bike or whatever? The family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. It's rare I get to the dreams because I'm not that touchy-feely. I'm a big softie, but I don't want to talk about dreams. But
I'm a dreamer.
yeah.
Chuck's gonna come reach around and give you a hug real quick.
I'm about to go.
Chuck's bringing him down.
But it really comes back to those fundamentals is what we have to focus on. And we all know this in our business, there's transactional agents who do, 100 deals a year. And then there's relational kind of agents that really focus on their sphere of influence. They might do 30 deals a year. And there's a place for both. As a new agent, be transactional, get all those under your belt. As an experienced agent, dive into the relationships with that sphere of influence you developed. And because I think that this human to human contact, this belly to belly marketing is going to mean so much more to people now. And I don't know what else to say about that. And that was my instruction. It's like, check on your people, make sure they're okay, have deeper conversations and follow up.
Going back to that, I wanted to go back to what Chuck said, because absolutely in total agreement, talking about how we filled this void, of where other people really couldn't because of the nature of our business and the multitude of contacts in so many different, industries or whatever. And it's so interesting, thinking about, I just had someone come by the office today, right before I came over here, and it was this guy walked in and handed me this postcard, and he said, hey, I'm here. I just want to let you know if you know anybody that needs help. And basically he started spewing off all of these services. And I was like, well, we're realtors here and we do all of that. And we don't take a cut from what because those companies are out there now. We'll help you do this and we'll help you find this. And, which kind of was part of why it sparked my, red flag series. But, it just made me think about that. You saying, fill in that void. I'm sorry, but I know you preach the same thing. It's your duty to get out there and get back to work because you need to talk to everybody that so that no one falls into that trap. Instead of you being afraid to make that phone call, you need to say, I need to make that phone call so that I'll make sure that doesn't happen to anybody I know.
Yeah. Can I follow up on that?
Please. I want to say one thing real quick too, before we get off of it. The thing that like their brokerage, my brokerage, the cool thing is when you think of how this worked, it's all these fingers.
Yeah.
They did what they did. And what's their job? What's their job? Their job's way different than mine, right? Their job, he's got to worry about 300 agents. She's got to worry about 50. My job is the 10 and then the community. Well, if you've got 50 or you've got 300, you're not getting into the community much because you got to, like, it took us weeks to get to find every Keller Williams agent. It took us, Brooklyn was working on it from Hilton Head and our stuff. It took them a long time. So the cool thing is how it worked, looking from a 30,000 foot view, is they did something that took care of all of us. So then we could go out and serve the community because they're taking care of us.
Yeah.
It's like I call it like a caterpillar, but they're scratching and helping us so we can go help others. It's just amazing.
That's such a good point. And I know Dave wants to chime in. And so I know EXP was making calls. So like you said, the backbone was calling agents remotely.
Yep.
So that we knew they were taken care of. So Dave could focus on the immediate needs.
Yeah.
So what do you want to mention?
Well, my boss's instruction to me is we have a managing broker team in North Carolina. And so all the other managing brokers were calling in, trying to get a hold of folks because they knew that my communications were down. There was one cell phone tower down in Mills River that I could jump on and get some data and cell phone signal. She says, Dave, just go take care of people.
Yeah.
And so, I mean,
We got this.
yeah, exactly. And so, oh man, I'm gonna start getting.
No, you can't.
Emotional.
You're not
But-
dreamy. Come on.
Yeah, it's just, I don't like to touch that nerve. But anyway, so I'll just go nuts. No, what I was going to say though is, who now knows if you had to call somebody, like, you know who your friends are because if you're at the airport, you can call them to come pick you up. If you had to get a generator right now, who knows who to call? Yeah. I mean,
Well, now we probably all have generators.
yeah. Or if
Exactly.
if you had to get a pallet of underwear, I mean, I almost had a pallet of socks show up in my driveway. I'm like, whoa! I'm not going to do anything with a pallet of socks. And so and this is what was so cool is like, okay, socks, sweatpants, sweatshirts, t-shirts, underwear. There's somebody in Concord that was taking these pallets apart, small, medium, large, extra large, packaging, assembling little clothing packages and sending them up. I know one little church in Rutherford County got them, got a bunch of them. Another one up in Newland got them, and then somebody out in Avery County. But I never knew. Dave, where should we send these? Shit, I don't know. And so I just got on the line with a few brokers, and yeah, this church needs them. Yeah, this group needs them. Yeah, I know these people over here need them. This family needs them. So whether it's generators, clothing, food, water, who'd have thunk we could network like that? I almost had a pallet of chainsaws show up in my front yard. I'm like, okay, I'll take one, but
I like
they
what
just
you
ended up.
said. Who thought we could network like that? We are literally just using our skills. This is what we've
Yes,
trained for.
yes.
This is
Yeah.
the lead generation workshops, the networking workshops, the talking to people workshops that it's put into action in the best way. But I do kind of want to focus on something. And I just think this is such a timely conversation. When we scheduled this conversation, I didn't know it was going to look like this. I didn't know we would rebound as quickly as we have. So again, like we've said, with the caveat of first and foremost, physical needs, all those things. But Laura Dahl was supposed to be here. She unfortunately was sick, but she was from Nashville and she survived a Nashville flood. And she's like, I have never made more money in my career than I did at that time. And I know it's taboo to say right now, but think that money represents somebody's house, somebody's roof, somebody's financial security, somebody's job. I remember after COVID, there was that weird 2 weeks where we couldn't do showings or inspections or whatnot, but then we were deemed essential services.
Yeah.
Like people need these services. So I really want to kind of hone in on to speaking to this audience specifically. okay, so I know a handful of you have some of this business, but for those agents who want to be their best agent and best self, like, so Monica, I'll start with you. So we've talked about if you have not touched every person in your sphere, like this is the easiest touch point we could ever be given.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Get out in the community. What other ways are, if like an agent is like hungry and ready to go, like what have you been telling them, like specific instructions, like do this, try and get yourself out that way.
The exact same thing that we were doing and handing out supplies. You need to know which neighborhoods haven't been touched, because when you come into, contact with someone, you say, like you said, how you doing? What's going on? How can I help you? And they say, I need to move. Then you can go back to some of these neighborhoods, because you're going to find this is going to happen. Some people are just not want to live here anymore. They just don't want to be here.
Sure.
And you can match those things up, but you need to get back to the basics, not just, calling all of your sphere, but make sure if you called them 2 weeks ago, it's not too soon to call them again. It's that, and I think, don't forget that we're in a very different, you're not, oh, are you ready to buy or sell? You're just checking up on them, and then second, boots on the ground. I think that's the number one way that you need to,
There's nothing like door knocking.
You need to go through. I mean, that's what we were doing. We were gathering supplies. I had Cody, I had all these people. We were doing wellness checks. We were going door to door to door. People, we had no idea who they were. It's time to go back to them, follow up with them. They're probably a lot of the folks that are going to need those services that we can provide, and, bringing them together, bringing reputable contractors, doing all of that. And so that's what you need to be doing. That right there is enough to keep you busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bring up the reputable contractors, and I thought of something, what do you say as realtors? You want them to know, like, and trust you. So at some point, your sphere has known, like, and trust you, and I hope they still do. So they need you to be that person and that referral and that connector. And for me personally, in my business, what's been so impactful over the last few weeks is like, we're just doing the best we can with well inspections and whatnot. But the business I've seen come from that, just from referrals of like in mom groups, like, oh, talk to Kimmy, like she owns a home inspection company, like whatever she can do, just be a connector. So even if it's not your services, I have a roofer, I have a person, I have socks, I have whatever it is, like just making those connections and call Dave for socks.
Exactly what Chuck said. That's what I said is, if
We have tons.
you do the work now and you're working now, because it will pay off doing the right thing. You know what? The money always comes.
Yeah.
You do the right thing and you serve people, and the money always comes. Every single area that I've talked to, you just put the nail on the head, and I know you guys have too. They made more money than they've ever made.
Yeah.
Is after the disaster.
Just keep your foot on the gas.
That's the thing. You have to get out there. You have to go talk to people and stay in there. And it's hard because a lot of people are great today, but then they're, tomorrow you're like, I can't talk to anybody. Be okay. You know what? Give yourself some grace.
That's what
And then on Friday, go back, give yourself some grace, but also don't be afraid. Don't do it because you're thinking that you're being insensitive.
Yeah.
I think it's a disservice to the community that we all love to not reach out.
Yeah. And I think if anyone's transacting in real estate right now, like from a client's perspective, it's because they probably need to.
Yes.
They need to buy or they need to sell. There are going to be some people who fall by the wayside that are just kind of like, yeah, I'll throw it on the market, but there are people who need to buy and sell. So Chuck, kind of a question inspired by what Monica said, because I know you teach her a lot around mindset, is right. Like, I feel like we've lived here. We've all dealt with issues for a couple of weeks. We're all kind of burnt out. We're all kind of whatnot. Like, how do they shake the dust off and really invigorate themselves to get back into it mindset wise and mental health wise to take care of themselves?
Okay, I'm gonna ask something else too.
Please.
First. So I want to ask you guys, so in this market that you're in, you have team meetings, you have whatever, who shows up vendor wise? You don't have to name names, but think of the lender, think of the home inspector. Now, why do they do that? What's the purpose of that? Why are they there? They care, they're partners. And what do they give you? What she give you today? She fed you. She gave you a lender with knowledge. Like, think about it, right? So what she's doing is coming from contribution, but more importantly, just as important, I should say, she's the expert. So that's where I see most realtors fail. Here's a couple more questions for you. So everything she just said, I could not agree more. And with that, what happens if FEMA turns you down? How do you dispute when your insurance company turns you down? What loan programs are out there right now for you or for your client? I mean, do you have access to contractors? Like I can go down the list, right? Do you have an engineer that's on speed dial that you can call? A foundation company, right? So where I see agents fail is they want someone to trust them, but they want to go into it. Trust me to build this table, but I've never built a table. And I really don't care to learn, but I want you to trust me to build it. And I always am baffled by that because I will study the numbers to death so that I'm the expert for my client. I feel like it's my obligation. So my challenge to you is if you don't know all those answers and many more that I just asked, learn them as quick as you can and then be that for your clients. So no matter what you call and say, or they say, oh, I've got someone for you.
It's like affirmative objection handling, like know every question that's going to come up and have an answer for it.
And just say, why do you hire anybody? Why would you hire her? Why would you hire them? You have a problem that you can't solve. With them, you need money. You need a loan, right? You can't just, you don't have the money in your bank. You got to go get a loan. Well, if they can be really good with knowing their loan programs, to me, this stuff, when I break it down like that, I'm like, this is so simple, but we miss it a lot is we never want to hire the one that's not the expert. So just be the expert, like be so knowledgeable, they can't not hire you. Right? That's how I think of it.
And what's cool is you don't have to be an expert about the law. You don't have to be an expert about inspections. You don't have to be an expert about septic systems.
Oh, I got someone for you.
Exactly. That's the most powerful thing you could say. And it makes you look professional is if you say, oh, I got somebody. I got a furnace guy. I got a plumber guy. I got an inspector woman. I got all this stuff.
Yep. So now the mindset part, it really depends on the person. But for me, to a fault, what drives me is their success, my agent's success. I go to bed, I lose sleep when they're not doing enough for their family. So they feel that, they know I'm genuine about that. So if you can have that passion for your client, they feel it. They know you're not fake. And it's so genuine. It's not, hey, can I get business from you? It's what do you need? Can I bring you anything? I know right now there's I just told all of you about it, a distribution center in Mills River that we have that you could come, you call Brooklyn, who is running all for us. You call her, you could come get whatever you need for your clients. So no matter what your client, like today, one of our agents said, she's having a baby. I said, we got diapers. You need diapers. We have diapers. It's always thinking to me, and then that fuels you when you don't want to go on and you realize it's not about you. It's easy to go on. When it's about me, it's hard. I want to quit. But when it's about them, I can't quit. I mean, a couple of times, I think they know this now, but I'd go around the corner of the warehouse and cry. Well, I didn't want them to see me crying, but because I need to show up for them. If it was about me, I would have just left. I don't care. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And so to me, make the cause bigger than you and you will freaking knock down mountains.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Have you ever cried so much?
I've never, remotely cried this much.
Yeah, I haven't either. It's crazy.
But I love the switching the mindset, and I'll kind of bring it back to an example that I just thought of is saying we deal with that in home inspections. Like someone calls for a home inspection. I remember the woman who answers her phone, Justine, she's awesome. She was like, I feel weird selling them a radon test. I was like, you're not selling them anything. You're potentially saving them from the risk of cancer and whatnot. So I know that's a very minute mindset shift, but exactly like if you're not invigorated by serving somebody and really providing this service, you're in the wrong spot.
Yep.
So Dave too, what about, so mindset, right? So an agent's ready to go back, like how can we shift our mindset and take care of our mental health so that we are ready to attack?
So first of all, ditto. I build on what they say. If you need help Because if we're helping others, I was talking to my pastor about this, I guess it was last week. He's got people he leans on. I mean, it's 8,000 person church, right?
Yeah.
And he's got a ton of people calling him. And I said, so how do you deal with this? He says, well, I've got this guy I call, I got this guy I call. If you don't have a buddy that you can call and just who's not going through the same, I've got a friend in Michigan who I've talked to him once a week since this has happened, and he just gets me straightened out.
Yeah.
And you have to have somebody in your life you could do that with, whether it's I was going to say an awesome spouse. Awesome spouses are awesome. And I've got one, but even then it's like, if you're in the same sinking boat together, you can't sit there and talk about your problems together. Yeah. You have to reach out to somebody who, Mr. Rogers said it best, is that when in times of trouble, look for helpers. So that's what I would say, is you don't have to bear it all yourself. You
And
can
let it
reach out
go.
to-
My coach
Yeah.
keeps telling me,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I cried again today. I don't know what the heck is wrong with me. And he's like, he keeps saying it. The movie, did you watch the movie Frozen?
I should have queued up.
Let it go, let it go. I'm like, I got it, man. I'm letting it go when I'm tired of letting it go.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like, once you have that cry, it helps.
Yeah.
It releases that emotion.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have some more of that, and it's okay, because as we start working with more people and we walk through these houses and
Yeah.
their photos are curled up and gone.
Yeah. The
and-
wood floors are
the-
warped up.
Yes,
Yeah.
and all of that. I mean, I just want to say it's okay if you cry with them too, because they're gonna see your humanity. Be there, be, like you said, be human. Just let it go, be human. Here's our sound bites for today, right? But exactly,
shoulder it yourself.
don't do it. Yeah, don't do it.
My business coach is in Austin, and he can just third party away. Just,
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we've been having MAPS coaches from all over the country each week just come in and talk about mindset stuff with the team. Just to try to get their mind right, just making sure they're okay.
Yeah. And I feel like a common thread of all of our conversations is doing stuff like this. Get outside, talk to people. There's 3,500 agents at least in our area. Like, get out, and if not agents, just volunteer and shake off the cobwebs and have those conversations.
And don't forget, I know I mentioned this when we talked, we partner with All Souls Counseling, and they have added 16 more counselors since all of this. They do free classes on Mondays. There's Zoom, talks about grief and going through. And you can call and have a one-off talk with any of their counselors who are trained in this, dealing with disaster. So don't forget about our local resources as well, because, I've got a therapist. Everybody needs a therapist. I have a coach. I have other people to talk to, like you, but it's also great to have someone who is trained if you're really feeling, despair and that's okay. Just like you said, it's okay. Everybody's going to process this differently.
Yeah, absolutely. I have kind of a topic shift a little bit. So this was from an agent online, and I know I asked you guys in the call, but we'll speak to it again. How are you navigating the ethics of all of this? I know as real estate agents, it's like, okay, we're getting the business, we're getting the call, we're getting the leads. I know a lot of agents have been wary of investors and people trying to lowball clients. Like, how are you having those conversations? Dave, you can go first.
First of all, I've had a couple of those calls. Boy, it must be a great time to buy a house in Asheville. It's still a seller's market.
Yeah.
There's still no deals out there. If the lights are on and the water's running, you're good to go as a seller, as far as a seller goes. So you're still paying retail prices. But as far as the ethics go in any transaction, I think it depends on where it comes from. We're here to serve, right? And we're here to solve problems. And so you can ethically solve anybody's problem. And if it is an investor, educate the investor. That's fine. Educate the investor. There might be some business where I get texts every week. Hey, do you know of a house that's a fixer-upper? And now they seem to have excelled to, I will buy any fixer-upper. I'm not dealing with those guys. And even during the recession, and I have been in the business that long, as a practice, I just didn't do foreclosures or bank-owned properties, and I probably turned a lot of money away. But it just felt, not that it was wrong, but it felt icky to me. I just didn't want to. I don't like mud baths either, so it just felt not right to me. So I didn't involve myself in that business.
Yeah.
But I think it's ethical to help people solve a problem. If they have a house they need to sell, you disclose, okay, it'll bring this much on the retail market. If you want an investor, it'll probably bring this much to an investor because there's all these repairs that need to be done.
Yeah.
And give, if the clients are given a choice after being educated, then you can go down any path ethically.
Yeah, and someone said this, and I'll give you guys an opportunity to answer, but someone said like an investor could be someone's solution.
Absolutely.
Especially if the house is in such
Absolutely.
disrepair and they have funds. So Chuck, how are you navigating those conversations with your agents?
Well, so first off, I don't vilify at all investors. They're not villains. They do lowball, but have you ever lowballed a car? Like they're just trying to buy it. You don't have to take it. I appreciate that because then that allows me to be the expert again for my clients, right? Like everybody, please don't take that offer. Call me first. It may be a great offer.
Sure.
I'll tell you. And I will tell you this. I've either talked people into renting because they wanted to build their rental portfolio and did not sell, or they had a cash offer that I said, that's a fair price. And I'm not in it. I'm not getting paid. I don't know how many times I've actually helped people and not got paid anything. And it's okay.
Pro
Like
bono work.
they literally closed and everything, or didn't close and rented it. And so to me, it's very simple. Just, I always want to, like, I feel like God blessed me with a brain, so I need to use that to be their expert. And so always use research it enough to know, like, what is it? Some of these contracts are weird and we'll do this and there's a lien on it, and understand it. If you need to get an attorney that you use to work with you. Absolutely. But I just want to be kind of what she said. I want to be, if they need anything related to a property, they call me, including I will help you with finding a home inspector. It doesn't matter the subcontractor.
Yeah.
And so I don't think
it's just really struck me. Like, don't vilify it. I think it's that if you watch too much news, you're like, oh, it's their investors and everything's falling apart and everything's wrong. But I love it. It's just like, no, just wipe that all away. Everything's an opportunity. Yeah. A low ball is an opportunity for a conversation. Like, do not vilify the process.
A low ball is still an offer.
It's still an
Yeah.
offer.
I'll do a caveat. The only one I think is vilified. I don't like the hedge funds. At all, because they have control. They have more power than the local investors do. So I don't love hedge funds.
Yeah, but like, again, like their caveat being like, allow me to be the expert. Like, at least now you know that. Now you can give them that perspective and say, here's your options and stuff. So Monica, same question. So of the ethics, what conversations are you having? The same.
It's all about education. Just exactly what they said. As long you don't make the decision for your client. And I think that's where the problem comes in. I've been in way too many transactions where I'll send something over and I'll get a text saying they won't take that. I said, I'm sorry, you need to present it. Because you're not the decision.
They didn't make that
maker.
decision in the 2
They
minutes,
are.
right?
And just like you said, it may be their saving grace. I mean, we met with a seller and 2 structures on the property, landslide took one out. My agent really was trying to say, hey, you've got money, you can be able to, rebuild this, you'll get more money. And, I kind of just that. And she said, I don't want to, I don't care. I want to be done. And you have to do what your client wants. That's your job to serve them. And at this point, that's where she's at. You know, she did agree to wait a day or two and she came back with the exact same answer, you know, and that's our job.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be a lot of investors who wanna come in here and wanna do the rebuilding and who have money to put into homes that people need, that we can do these loans with, that are people that are displaced. So
Yeah.
they're, you know, I love investors. I think they're a huge part of our business.
Yeah.
Did I sound
No,
like
no, no,
I was
no.
vilifying?
No.
investors?
No, no,
No,
no, no.
All of a
No,
sudden,
we
I'm playing it back in my head.
No,
It's
I
like,
Kimmy
It's just
did.
the
No,
con-
just kidding.
It was like the connotation of the
I need to
Yeah.
ethics of
You
working
did not,
with
you
an
did not, okay.
investor, you know?
No, I love that. Those are all such powerful examples to kind of switch the mindset.
Can I say one thing? Just real quick, let's say this. The key to it is that maybe her agent didn't do that she probably would have done is just say, what would be the best solution for
it's the
you?
ideal outcome.
What are you
Ask
feeling?
the
Do you want to
question.
stay in the house? Do you,
Yeah.
well, I really don't want to be in the house. Like they'll tell you.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to help them get to that solution.
Because ultimately that's what we are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too many times.
Ask the question and shut
Yeah.
up, right?
Yeah, because we'll say it on due diligence prayer requests, like, you know, they just, they want, I'm like, hold on. Like, you don't know if your client had, their dad is an electrician or, you know,
Right.
you don't know any of that stuff. And instead of asking questions, we start telling what we would do.
Exactly.
Listen. Yeah, I like that the biggest takeaway from you with that was like, just listen. Like, what do they really want?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
they really want to just sell and move and be done, great. Then you get that solution for them. Did you
Well,
have
those
something
are
you
the
wanted to add?
questions we were having as a listing agent too, is like,
Yeah.
this is, you can list at this price and that's, you know, our goal, or you can list at this price, or you can, this quick sell price. Like,
Mhm.
we're giving you options on
Exactly.
What's important to you?
But when you said ethics, like my mind did straight go to investors so much as like, my fear around this is like these homes that have experienced these traumas, whether they're foundational or flood or whatever, and like how people are handling those repairs, and then us as buyers agents or listing agents in the future, like what, you know,
Disclosures. and-
disclosures,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
they,
that's a
I
good point.
had
And
a builder
permits.
buddy who's
Yeah.
having somebody who a tree fell on their house, and you can see where their floors, you know, their walls came in, and their floors are like this. It would be very easy for you to just take out a few boards of wood, cover that up,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and not call an engineer. Fortunately, they have an ethical guy in their corner doing this with them and walking them through the process. But like, if you're short on cash, like,
Yeah.
you're probably gonna do that, you
Yeah.
know? And like, what is our responsibility as realtors and agents moving forward with these types of situations that we're very surely gonna run into?
I'm not even broker in charge of my team. I've been broker in charge since '06, but we actually have a broker in charge in the office. So I've been a broker in charge for a long, long time. To me, the best that we have right now, people may start creating addendums, but is the professional services disclosure. And you just, you know, ask them every question. Do you want this? Like, hey, it could have damage. Do you sure you don't want this inspection or that inspection?
But even like the new residential property disclosure, it does cover a lot of that, like specific to flood or damage or natural disasters, but you
Yeah.
know.
I think
Are
Chelsea,
they
what'd
gonna
you
be
say?
honest?
What box? Chelsea is like, she helps with compliance. She was like, boy, this box is gonna be checked a lot. What
Yeah.
were
We
you?
know, right? Like,
Your
in most
representation.
scenarios,
It is a question on the new property disclosure about, did you receive any funds from FEMA?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's on the
It is.
property disclosure.
And how many of those, you know, are they being amended? Did these things
Right.
happen? What are the steps that are gonna be taken next?
Well, the good thing
Yeah.
about FEMA is like they're requiring that people file with their insurance first,
Mhm.
right? So at least when you're working with an insurance broker, you can ask, okay, you know,
Claim.
has there been a claim,
Yeah.
whether it was paid or accepted or whatever, was
Yeah.
there a claim? Right?
So my nut,
that's true for the $750.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
No, we're not, no, not for that, but for
That came
actual
up
damage,
in
yeah.
Another one of these that I
But you can
attended.
see people not checking that box.
And,
Yeah,
and
You
it was
know.
the question of, do people need to disclose if they just got, hey, my lights were off for 3 days?
Yeah.
And my meat
spoiled. No, it's
No.
only if,
No,
only if
it's
you
specific
filed
to
an
the damage.
insurance, like if you're asking FEMA for more than that $750.
The damage. claim.
Yeah, so like
The damage
everybody
claim.
who filed anything.
Is that
FEMA
clarified on that?
I started to say, that's a really good question, because I'm sure it doesn't say anything from FEMA above 750.
Right, right.
No, it doesn't.
It says, did you receive anything, yes or no?
That's what
So-
I'm right then.
so
I mean,
As a broker for my agents, I'm gonna absolutely say they need to check yes every single time if they got to
Right.
750 and say, I only received 750, there was no damage or whatever.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
I
Because
answer it
your-
honestly.
Your address is obviously associated with
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
funds you may have received.
Something from my perspective that may help that came up during this was, because people were under contract and lenders are like, I need to know that house is okay. They're gonna call the structural engineers, the general contractors, the home inspectors. We were allowed to lend our license to those letters to say there was no apparent damage or whatnot. So I think obviously you're gonna ask for the disclosures and for them to be as forthcoming as possible, look for insurance claims. But I know when I list my personal house, like I know a scary amount of detail about every house. But so what I'll do is hire another home inspector to give a professional assessment and say, here, so an independent party has had had eyes on it and sees no damage. So like you as a listing agent, if your client's like, no, it's fine, or maybe there was a past owner that you don't even know that owned it during the storm, say, we don't know. So we had a pre-inspection or we had an engineer come out and certify the structure, something of that sort.
Right.
Have you guys had that specific issue yet?
Not yet,
Not yet.
but it's
You
coming.
will. It's
Oh, yeah,
coming.
we will.
We'll come back in 3 months. That'll be part 2.
I am a little curious about that with those numbers that you mentioned, Chuck, too, though, because we did experience such a lull with the closings and delays and the inspections that lenders were requiring and the register of deeds. If some of those numbers that you're seeing on these graphs for closing last
So
week.
the cool
From
thing
those.
from my numbers, so I track close too.
Yeah,
I don't really care about close, honestly, because that's a trailing indicator.
right,
That's why the monthly reports are good, but they're 6-week-old data.
right.
I don't love it, right? That's why 2.5 years ago, I started the weekly. And what's so important about that is I want to know what buyer and seller went under contract in the last 7 days. That's the
Okay.
best
So that
indicator.
was
So
what
that
we-
90 that I gave you is actually contracts formed last Wednesday to Tuesday.
Love that.
Yeah.
Here for that.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
closings, they're on there. And as a team,
Yeah,
we really don't
Yeah.
even,
Looking at
yeah.
those properties, I'm like, probably a lot of these
Yeah.
are
From there, that's true, it could
There.
be just from the middle, but I feel like relying on the data, right, not making it worst case scenario and worrying your clients when you can provide a piece of data like that, like, that's not really what's happening, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
there is devastation in the area, but that's a small percentage of the reality, and we're gonna rebuild and stuff, so before I ask for kind of final thoughts, anyone else have any questions or kind of sentiments they want to, Annie?
I have a couple questions. So this is promising, right? Can keep going.
You feel hopeful? Okay.
Right. And then, but here we are, it's November 6th, and you think like this momentum will continue with the holidays are right here, we can face them. So,
Yeah.
anyone going under contract today would, but I mean, do you think that's gonna impact us or people are really just gonna keep going?
You want numbers? So I'll give you, I just love numbers because I love that I can look back last year and I'll just tell you the pending that went pending, they drop right now. So I told you we had, let's see, today is what?
November 6th.
6. So last year we had 91 go pending. Well, we've been averaging the two counties 120, 115 to 125, something like that. Well, it goes, I'm just going to read the next few weeks. 106, 107, 70, which is probably Thanksgiving week. 95, 92, 80, 49, which is Christmas week.
Okay.
46 the week after Christmas. So we are going to drop. But if we can just stay,
Yeah, we would
so
drop
seasonally, we're dropping in those two counties 25 to 30, say
Yeah.
35. If we can just match that though, it's exactly what we had last year.
So let me add to that real quick. So here's my pending sales for Henderson. Our numbers are a little different, but they're
Yeah.
they're almost,
Kind of telling.
yeah. So in 2020, let's say last year, 2023, pending sales in Henderson County was 122 pending sales.
This week?
Yes, the last 7 days. And then in 2022, it was 99. This year, it's 93. So we're on par, according to my numbers, we're on par with 2022, which,
That's a pretty good mark.
Yeah, his numbers are a little higher than mine. Like I had in 2022,
What county?
66.
I think that's Henderson County.
yeah, mine was
Oh, just
Henderson.
Henderson.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
way
just
higher.
Henderson.
And
Yeah.
this is Canopy, so I believe
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
decided this was Canopy
Yeah.
altogether.
Yeah, it's way higher
But
than
I'm
mine.
curious, like to your question, it's
Oh,
like,
you
we're gonna
doing
see the
land?
traditional
No, this
dips
was
on
single
Thanksgiving and whatnot.
Same.
But I do wonder if we'll actually do better than historical averages with what everyone's saying about storms. So I think the security that we can take from that is, worst case, we're gonna be on trend because we've already rebounded. Best case, it'll best those numbers.
And
Right.
showings are coming back too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If I look back like 30 days ago, showings were way down, probably 30%. If you take that 30-day period, they were 30% of what they were last year. I'm
Or
sorry.
less.
Yeah, 30% of what they were last year. However, if you take the last week, it's like 70%.
Mhm.
So instead of being down 70 like it was,
Right.
now it's only down 30.
Mm.
So it's coming back the further we get away from the storm.
Mhm.
Annie, did you have another question?
I did, and it's kind of a little bit unrelated, but, in terms of, we've all been talking about serving and volunteering. Does anyone know, of a good place to help displaced families? I mean, how do we do, like, does anyone have a place where we can be helping the displaced people find housing? Does anyone have a good solution for that?
I'm actually volunteering there tomorrow. Kim, do you know Kim Winters?
Yeah, her name.
She is Movement Mortgage,
Okay.
and one of her guys, his name is Devin, has worked, there's a community called Cabins for Christ.
Mhm.
And they're building some temporary housing. I also know that, what is the name of that cottage?
Very,
Barry
very
was offering like some, small home build options.
Are you looking to like volunteer to help
Yeah, I'm
them?
looking to help, like, that's where I want to put my services, to serve. And then like, what about like mountain housing opportunity as well, like, is that, I don't, again, this is a
They're
little bit off
plugged in.
topic.
Yeah.
Beloved is very plugged
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they've got Beloved.
Oh.
They just
Beloved.
posted another
Yeah.
village too. But I honestly, my favorite thing during all this is I just like posted on Facebook. I've got a
Oh,
tree
yeah.
person. I've got this person.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of real estate agents saying, Galen Walters, he just said,
Yeah.
$1 commission to somebody. It doesn't have to be that. We're not all in that position, but just put it out there, Andy. Just say, Chandra and all those people just say, hey, I'm willing to offer some services to somebody. Like, who can I help?
Yeah, okay,
But yeah, that's I think that's a great idea. Like, come from a place of service.
yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so quick question, everything you guys have said is awesome, I love it, but then fine tuning it real quick, you have a buyer, call them, they're like, I don't think WNC is in my future anymore. Do you respectfully say, all right, I hear you? Or how do you start that conversation without
Misrepresenting.
having me be like, oh my God,
I would love to answer that.
Right.
Okay.
So, you could even take the election. Both sides, there's fear around other things, and the fear may or may not be real. And so we operate a lot, like third quadrant is future negative, where you talk to people about stuff. Well, where I think is a lot of people are scared. That scares them. So to me, I would absolutely respect it, but it's our job, in my opinion, to be their expert and help them through that decision. So what that means is, and so the other thing is, it's not even what we're talking about today, but DISC, there's 69% of the world are S's, right? They're scared of everything. They're like every decision, right? With no hurricane, they're still scared about that transaction. 69% of the world. So what I've learned with high S's, which my wife is one, is simple. So tell me more about that. Well, I don't know, we could script it. You want to script it? Do we have time real quick?
Go for it.
So tell me more about that.
I'm afraid of home insurance going up.
Yeah.
In the area or flooding. Hurricane insurance.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that too. We've done some research, so always add value. we've done some research and we've been talking to Keller Williams nationally, and they were supposed to redraw the lines in Houston, and they were telling me FEMA has still not redrawn those lines. So the bad thing is, you're right, we need to really check to see if something did flood. If it's gonna flood, it would have flooded this time, I would say, most likely. So, why don't I get you in touch with a couple of insurance agents and just see what they're saying, because they're quoting insurance every day, and just see, is it double, is it same? What do you think about that?
That would be
I was gonna say too, sorry to interrupt the script, but like some agents, insurance agents have said it's only gonna be a few $1,000s, so that may not mean something to them, but get them in touch with those people. So same
Right.
response. It's
So-
only a couple
Yeah,
thousand
Tell me
dollars.
more. That's
So
the
what else,
best-
and then,
best
and you say,
response.
well, I mean, what if it, I mean,
What if it
so,
happens again?
yeah, yeah.
It's not the safe haven we thought it would be.
Yeah, I totally understand. So I've lived here 55 years and I would never tell you that it's not going to happen again because it could happen next year. However, it hasn't, they've called it a once in a lifetime storm. So maybe it could happen worse. I don't know. Why don't we look for properties? If you're concerned with that, absolutely don't get something that flooded this time. Let's get you something up on a mountain or something. Were you more worried about trees or flooding?
Heck yeah, so.
Okay.
There's
So-
some trees everywhere.
So question, if you had a house that's your dream house and it's on an acre and a half and there's no trees around the house and up where it couldn't flood, would that be okay?
Well, I'd rather have trees around the house though.
Yeah.
The point of moving here is to be in the mountains, have the views, have the trees.
Yeah,
And now I'm down here.
I got you. So we drone a lot of properties, and what I've learned from droning properties, trees are about 150 feet high. So what if we hunted stuff and we could just vet it? They're not gonna list this in MLS, but we can look at photos and stuff and just see, what if we don't go see anything that's got a bunch of trees around the house, but the lot still has trees? I mean, you don't have to move here, but if you want to, we can absolutely find something that fits what you're looking for.
That's a good point. And something you remind me of, like, so, yeah, I'll buy her. But I like the point too, like, if it didn't flood this time, like now they have extra assurance that it may not affect them. So it really doesn't affect most properties because they say how many, 80%, and I don't like that number, but we're fine. Or just had minor damage and stuff. So maybe rely on
Right.
those.
To me, it's all questions.
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
that is great, but
Mhm.
also like, let's shift our energy to the people who need us and want to be in this area. And like, keep in contact with those people for if and when they do change their mind. And also talk about like, what our community as a whole is doing. And like, what were the reasons why you wanted to be here in the first place? Like, is it about the food? Is it about the music? Is it about the hiking? Is it about the beautiful coral reefs that we're still seeing all around us in this devastation?
So
Like, let's look at the beauty of it all.
can I barely push back on
Yeah,
that?
yeah, totally.
I don't want to convince them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, it's still
yeah.
here, the mountains are still
So-
here.
So you don't want this house and you've seen 82 of them. And you don't want it because, okay, so let's Google map it. So it looks like it's 12. Are you worried like in the mornings it may be
Right.
more? And I don't talk until you talk. People do that, but I want to push back on that for 1 second. So you're just talking to that person and you're like, they call me. If I can find them what they're looking for, they're buying a house through me, not you. Because I'm not going to sell them. I'm going to help them solve their problem. And I am going to help them move because they're scared is the problem. It's not that they don't want to be here. They were coming here. They're scared. So I'm going to help them. And it may be they don't want to move here. That's okay too. Okay. I've got referral partners all over America. Where do they want to move? But they do things out of fear. Number one, you will always run away from fear more than you run toward pleasure.
Right, and that's a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
conversations that we've been having with our agents, is like, let's give it a pause and like, let's
Just
not
be
make
careful
any rash decisions.
With a long pause, because if we're talking to them,
I'm saying with
Johnson
rash
They're saying.
I'm saying with
Yeah.
rash decisions.
yeah.
Like, I need to, like we were saying.
Oh, yeah,
like,
do
about
not
your
push 'em.
contract,
I gotta
give
do
it
it now.
2 days.
Yeah.
Yes.
The worst
yes.
thing you can do to
Yeah.
which is a lot of the people you're talking about, the worst thing you could ever do is push them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Push people. That's the
Exactly.
worst you could ever do.
But let's just like, because it's such a high emotion time for everyone.
So why not just ask questions while it's hollow
No,
motion?
100%.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm talking about your buyer who was thinking about moving here from New York.
Yeah.
I'm
Shame.
talking about people who are making really big life
Yeah, yeah.
decisions.
Yeah.
That are highly emotional in a very tough time.
Yeah.
And let's look at the big picture and like, do we need to make that decision right now?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's more, I'm not talking about for buyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it goes back to kind of a lot of what you preach to, and I'm sure you guys as well, just speaking to personalities. Just personality types, like read your buyer back to basics, learning to talk to people, all those things. All right, I'm gonna be respectful of everyone's time. We've zoomed and we're almost at 1:30, so we're probably gonna wrap it up. But Chuck, or anybody, I feel like we need a scripting seminar. That's next. I feel like that next is
Okay.
very valuable.
So
like-
just for the record, Keller Williams at one point got sued for calling it scripting. So it's
Okay,
it's intentional conversation.
we are gonna have an intentional conversations webinar. But first, thank you so much to each of you for contributing. I know it was really helpful to just have these conversations and have this space. Thank you all for attending, and I appreciate you all. And I think we'll.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Tammy.
Tammy.
Thank you, guys. All right, hold on, don't leave yet. We gotta do our.
You want me to take it? That's not.
I always do a selfie, so like it's kind of say cheese. It's my signature. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. Stay safe. What was with the traffic today? Like that was a whole other level.